Hi, everybody. Me and Kit Alexander, we've been away for a couple of weeks, but we're back now, Fancy Golf Picks, and we have done our homework this morning. What have you been up to, Kit?
I was doing comms at the Czech Masters on the European Tour, so that kept me pretty busy. How about yourself?
Yeah, I did. I did Curtis Cup actually last week, which is a bit of a throwback to the amateur days, which is great. Loved it. And then yeah, I've had Scottish Opens, Women's Opens, and stuff. So we have been busy. We've been writing our fantasy golf picks on the European Tour website, so we do that every week. But yeah, sorry for the missing of a few videos. I thought I would look back at the points because we haven't done it for a while, Kit, and I wanted to know how far behind I am from you because no one will be surprised that you're beating me. So you've got 20,150 points, and I've got 17,579 points. Wiesberger losing yesterday did me in because everyone knows that I'm a big fan of his. Anyway, whoever Mateus Silva won last week at the Amiga European Masters, but the global winner, or so far, is Daft Ones, is the team name, anything but Daft Kit. Tony Ferron at 26,114. So, Kit, you're only 6,000 behind, but yeah, we need to get a captain winning this week, don't we?
Yeah, I think at 6,000 behind, we need a captain winning pretty much every week between now and the end. But there are still plenty of points to play for, so you can certainly climb up and down your leaderboards. Obviously, we've got a few private leagues on the go, so I'm very keen to get to the top of all of my private leagues. How realistic that is now, we shall see, but there's a bit of a chance.
Yeah, private leaderboards are good. I'm now doing the football fantasy as well, so that stress of two deadlines to me is full on. Anyway, this week it's the Ryder Cup venue, isn't it, for 2023? Not too much to know about this course. Tell us why, Kit.
Yes, it's the DS Automobiles Italian Open at Marco Simone. I've played it. Unfortunately, it was about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And in the intervening period, they've dug it all up and completely redone it, essentially. So everything I saw there is no more, apart from the fact I can tell you it's generally sort of quite rolling it countryside, about 25, 30 minutes outside of Rome. Great views over the city. There's a bit of elevation change. The new layout I've had a little look at. Water's in play on 9 holes. How much it's in play, I think, is kind of open to debate, but it is there on a few of them. And certainly the closing few holes, it offers a little bit of risk, which you would want from a Ryder Cup venue. And I think looking at the layout, it is been built to be a risk-reward match play venue. There are potentially 3 drivable par 4s on it for the absolute biggest hitters. I think 2 certainly that are drivable on the back 9, and there's a couple back-to-back on the front 9 that maybe DeChambeau might have a pop at if he was in the field, but or when the Ryder Cup comes. But maybe depending on tee positions and pin positions, you may or may not get a few guys having a go at those. It's for 3 par 5s as well, so obviously there's kind of risk and reward built into those. It's an interesting one. I think it will play a bit resorty, to be honest. In terms of a winning score, I think it'll be pretty low. I'm in my head thinking we're looking at 14, 16, 18 for a winning total, that kind of thing. Obviously, depending on just how soft it is and whether there's any wind there. But I think it's a pretty resorty course, and what you see is kind of what you get. If you take on the risky shots and pull them off, you could shoot something silly low round there, I think. On the flip side, if you're a little bit errant, you might find a bit of trouble, but I don't think it's going to be anything too difficult, in all honesty. Certainly not the first week out that we're seeing it. I'm actually just fascinated and intrigued to see how it plays and what kind of course they've now put there for the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, I looked on the website and that's basically what they said. It's like they have redesigned this to be a match play course. And I'm interested to see what a match play course is because, I've never seen a purpose-built golf course for a Ryder Cup, really. I looked at a few of the videos. It looks like you say, at like a Golf National type big amphitheatres, that type of thing. But it's not. It's interesting to you said about some drivable par fours, because when I looked, and I did see that there was only a few par fives. I then looked at the stats of who plays well on par fours for this week. So that was a bit of my research. But really, you're right, Kit. We don't know too much about the course. So I think in times like this, you're better just maybe sticking to a bit of form from players and who plays well, like just strokes gained, because we don't know what type of golfer wins on this course yet. So you want somebody that kind of is ticking all the boxes. And with the stats at the moment, we've got a comprehensive stats. So who are you thinking of putting in? I'll go with mine first, just like a couple of ones that I've Wiesberger, Ovs. I actually can't believe what happened yesterday. I didn't manage to watch too much. I watched kind of the last hour. I just thought, oh, this will just be it now. So that was a bit of a shock to the system. Did you see there was an awful message that someone sent him on Instagram, like really swearing?
Yeah, the guy that had lost a bit of had bet on him, and then
what an absolute, don't need that at all. But I think he's playing so well, and his stroke average is 70. He's actually won the Italian Open before. Not that it's the same place, but it shows that you like the country. There's a big thing about that with us pros. That if we've been a champion before, you're treated that little bit better. You get your own car parking spot, get slightly better looked after, nice tee times. So he's going in for me. There are a few other past, winners, but you can't go Italian Open. So I looked a little bit towards Golf National, who's done well there before. So Fleetwood's in the field. Marcel Siem, I think, is one that people really need to start watching now, because he's back, isn't he? Very much so. Yeah. Martin Keimer has won the French Open, is in the field, so similar type of course. So I definitely really think I'd put Siem in now. He seems to be one of those players that, beginning of the year, wasn't probably even available on fantasy pretty much. He was playing Challenge Tour. But he's really, really come back, and it's great to see. Did I see he had Jamie Lang on the back last week?
I'm not sure, actually. He might have done. Yeah. I didn't see who he had caddying for him. But you're right, he's back, and that is brilliant to see. Yeah. I've got 4 definites and then 4 guys who I'm deciding between for my final couple
Let me go. I'm going to go. I think I've got... I think I'm nearly there. I'm going Wiesberger, Marcus Armitage, bit of a, but I'm backing him this week. Yeah. Callum Hill, Marcel Siem. Then got to put a South African in there. I'm going to go away from Justin Harding, I think, and go Darren Fickhart instead. Going to go Darren Fickhart instead, and then I'm in between. There's a couple from my final spot, but I'm kind of just going safe this week. So it's more kind of Minwoo Lee, Justin Harding, even Rasmus Højgaard again. He's one of those guys that kind of wins on the bounce, doesn't he? He likes a little run. So, I'm not going too much outside the box this week, but I imagine that you are, Kit.
No. So here's the interesting thing. You're saying you're not going too much outside of the box, but there's a lot of big names there that are in the field that you haven't mentioned, who ordinarily I kind of stay away from the big names, as we know, when they've come back. And I'm actually, I'm reversing what my almost normal would be. And I'm going a little bit for name and reputation and situation, because some of these guys are looking to just seal their Ryder Cup automatic spots or get themselves into Podrick Harrington's thinking for a pick. This is the penultimate event before that happens. So I've got Stenson, 4th and 3rd the last couple of weeks. Seems to be, he's not vintage Stenson, but certainly in a European Tour field, it's a reasonably strong field, but still a field like this, if he's playing as well as he has to finish 4th and 3rd the last couple of weeks, there's enough there for me to go, Henrik Stenson goes in the team. Tommy Fleetwood is another of those. Had by his standards a pretty average year, but when you look at the tournaments he's been playing, he's just been playing elite tournaments. So when you put him back into a field like this, playing what has been solid golf, if unspectacular, and with him just needing that little bit just to finish off and get in the Ryder Cup, I think Tommy will go well. Matt Fitzpatrick's a late addition to the field as well. I don't know if you saw, he's down in the tournament invites. I checked this morning, he wasn't there over the weekend. Obviously, he missed out on the last couple of playoff events on the PGA Tour. So he has been a late addition to the field. So Fitzy is straight in for me in any kind of normal European Tour event. Matt Fitzpatrick is just money. He knows how to win in these events. So he's straight in. And the other definite for me is a guy who I've really liked all year. Well, I've really liked since he turned pro. That's Guido Migliozzi. His home open, not out of the Ryder Cup race, I would say as well. A win here or the BMW PGA, and there's a conversation to be had, I think. So, and he's been playing really well again. His form in ordinary and inverted commas European Tour events this season has been absolutely fantastic. So there are my 4 definites. And then the 4 that I'm between for my last 2 are Wiesberger, Hill, Højgaard, and Sean Crocker, who's been in the final group the last 2 weeks, hasn't quite got it done. And the reason I'm kind of a bit more bullish about him is because if it does turn into that course, a course where, you know, it is risk and reward, there are 3 or 4 drivable par 4s, but you need a bit of power to get on the longer couple of them. Sean Crocker's 10th in driving distance on the European Tour. He is a bomber. The putter lets him down at times, but that's why I'm thinking maybe Crocker. But also you said Marcel Siem, he's a guy that I looked at and was literally just outside of that. Justin Harding as well was right there in my thoughts. Another one who we haven't mentioned, but I think is worthy of mention is Jordan Smith at the moment. I think he's playing well, pretty long off the tee, can get hot. He wouldn't quite be there for me, but certainly worthy of consideration. So yeah, there I've got to pick 2 from Wiesberger, Hill, Højgaard and Crocker to go with my 4 definites that are Fleetwood, Stenson, Migliozzi and Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that's good. I think, yeah, Fitzpatrick coming in is quite a, yeah. It's
giving you something to think about, hasn't it? With those 6, you're like, oh.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it has. He might be my last one, really. But I'm totally with you on the Fleetwoods, Fitzbergers. Stenson, I was going to have the conversation with, because you remember when we did our last video together, you were like, you just can't put on Stenson at the minute. You just don't know where he is. Yeah. And fair play to the guy. He's found something recently. I mean, he was so uncomfortable on the golf course at only a few weeks ago. So to come back, and he's made it very clear, hasn't he, that he wants to be at the Ryder Cup. I feel if he doesn't, I think he'll be the vice captain. There's one left. So I think that's almost certain. We over in the Czech Republic a couple of weeks ago, we were almost half expecting the announcement then. Right.
Certainly, maybe if he'd have missed the cut, that announcement might have come over the weekend. But the fact that he has played well these last couple of weeks, and he's got the Italian this week and then the BMW PGA next week, he's still right in the hunt for a spot as a wild card. So, yeah, there's a lot going on aside from the fact it is the Italian Open, which is a great event with loads of history and a really good field. That Ryder Cup storyline is going to be really intriguing throughout this week. And I've kind of lent on that, as you will see from a lot of the picks. You know, there's that little bit more on it for some of these guys like Tommy Fleetwood. And I think that will sort of inspire them on to turn their form around, if you like, as we've seen Stenson do over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Tommy's been in Rome with his family actually the last couple of days, and obviously really good friends with Molinari. So I imagine that they'll probably be paired together. We'll get a nice group. And yeah, you haven't mentioned Francesco, though, have you, Kit?
I've not. I think he's got too much to do to get in the Ryder Cup. Unfortunately, it would have been unfathomable 3 years ago to think that Francesco Molinari, who went 5 for 5, was so integral to that win in Paris, unfathomable to think he wouldn't be in the Ryder Cup the next time it was played. But I think that is probably going to be the case, unfortunately. Okay, he could pop up with a win in Italy or next week at the BMW PGA, and that might just about be enough. But you're just looking at him and thinking he's less likely to do that than a Fleetwood or a Fitzy or a Stenson, or, you know, the form just doesn't seem to be there for whatever reason. So it's unfortunate. And I think he'll probably go all right this week and probably next week, because Wentworth is a course that Molinari suits and does quite well at ordinarily. But he has to win, I think, at least one of them to have any sniff of getting in that team. And I just can't see that happening.
I don't think he gets it. I think he could arguably win both, and I think he'll still struggle. I've got to say, I think Podre's nearly set on his team. So yeah, it'd be good. But I think pretty much what we're saying for this week, because we have, it's different, isn't it? Because last week there was so much course form, so much, years and years, and this week none. So that's awesome about the European Tour, but then it's also makes things a bit difficult with the fantasy. So just that, like Kit said, everybody think about Ryder Cup, think about what people are playing for. It's like these type of tournaments, you might think, oh, the Italian Open, it's kind of, it's before Wentworth, and Wentworth's a Rolex series. Oh, it's not that big an event. But yeah, it is, because it's a marker to try and get in the Ryder Cup. It's people trying to play their way form-wise. Even for looking at it in a couple of years' time, if you've won around that course, you remember Alex Noren at Golf National, his record was fantastic. So was Fleetwood's in the end around there. And that helped them get into that Ryder Cup. So everyone will be thinking, if I can do well this week, that's going to sit in those stats for the next few years. And yeah, it'd be interesting, actually. Originally, when I was like, oh, where are we this week? Oh, Italian Open. But yeah, as soon as I saw a Ryder Cup course, it was like, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the course, really looking forward to seeing what they've done with it, how it's going to play. And with everything, all the storylines going on, I think it's going to be a fascinating week on the European Tour. And I need some big points after, frankly, my worst week of the season last week in Switzerland. So we need a big bounce back.
Yeah, we do. Right. I'm doing Solheim Cup this week because there's a small event on in the women's game. So I'm doing that, but it doesn't start until Saturday. So I'll get a little bit of Thursday, Friday watching. What are you up to this week, Kit?
Well, I'm at the Europro Tour at the weekend, Thursday, Friday, the Europro weekend, that is. And then at Wentworth next week. So we're there. Betcast is back for the European Tour at Wentworth next week. So I'll be down there on the ground speaking to people and seeing what's going on. So hopefully a few more insights ahead of the BMW PGA next week as well, actually from Wentworth.
Nice one. Right. See you next week, Kit.
See you next week.